It's Shannon.
Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon Live.
It's Shannon.
Because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
My kids empowered me to get out.
What's going on with this remote learning in the midst of COVID?
Working for different elected officials, learning and understanding how to put your community first.
Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hello, ladies.
Hello, beloveds.
Well, you know, we've been hot with this weather for the last couple of days, so we got some hot topics to talk about tonight. So the first topic I want to get into is be careful who you marry. I'm telling you, I have this story to tell you quickly that there's this young lady, they met, and he married her, but he didn't know it was a plot that her and another guy was plotting for her to get married to him so they could take his house away from him. And so he married her. He went and changed all of his accounts, money and stuff, and put her name on it and everything. And now she wants her name put on the deed, but he hasn't put the name on the deed. So now she didn't clean him out. All his accounts, she didn't clean his account out because he put his name on there and everything, you know. So when you get married thinking that you have found your soulmate and then come to find out you didn't found the soul devil, there's a problem here. Now, my first question is, if you get married, would you go and change all of your accounts and stuff to that person and you haven't been married that long?
Listen, we could be married 30 years. The answer is no. The answer is no. And I want a prenup. Come on. No, what's mine is mine. And what's yours is yours. When we divorce, if that happens, I want you to leave with your raggedy duffel bag that you came with.
I can say, whether it's for the women or the men, you just got to be more careful. Because
definitely.
You know, the intentions are not always there, and there's always bad intentions. And unfortunately, you know, we all play the fool sometime, but when you continue to play the fool is when you become the fool.
Yes, exactly. I would agree with that. But you really have to, when you go into, at this point, the things that really are, keep what is yours. If you have a family house, if you have something that was in your name,
right?
Marriage is great, but keep it in your name.
Yeah. I'm all for definitely having an account that you guys open up together that you can both joint add money to pay bills and things of that nature. But I'm definitely not signing over all the things I had before you and adding you to it. I'm not doing that.
My mother always said, keep your little stash.
Listen, that's money, honey.
In a little thing on you with pin to your bra.
Okay. But the thing about it is how could you even be that type of person that would want to do something like that? Like, why? I mean, the second point is, I don't really understand the man because, I mean, she's very nasty to him, calls him names out of his name, all of that kind of stuff. He can't do nothing for her, you know, and then she's dating somebody else. And he knows that she's messing around and everything, but yet
some people want to be loved.
That's the part I don't get.
No, it's hard. It's easy for us to say that. But we don't know his circumstances, what he's been through. She may be the sliced bread, right? Now the thing is, what is her intentions? What is her motive? But no matter what, like we always say, what goes up comes down.
She wants
greed, right? It could be greed.
She's greedy.
So she'll never have good luck with what she's doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I believe that, but her intentions are to get. Everybody wants their come up.
Right.
If she feels that she's gonna destroy somebody else or take what somebody else has, because looks fade, baby. You got him with that little snatch waist and the hair and the nails. Take all of that stuff off.
Exactly. See him, show him for who you really are.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, right. But the scary part is that you shouldn't assume because you can do this kind of stuff what that person eventually one day might do. Because I'm thinking, well, suppose one day you were talking to him and he already suspects you doing something, you were calling him names and all this kind of. Suppose he snapped. Suppose he just snapped and said he have had enough. somebody gets hurt. Somebody gonna get hurt here. Somebody gonna get killed.
You
That's
know what
what's gonna
karma
happen.
says.
So
You know
that's
what
a
karma
dangerous
is.
game that you play it. When
But
you
you know
play
what?
it with
She's
someone
comfortable
like that, and then
doing
you
that.
gonna
She's
take
done
their
it
money.
before.
Yes, she has. And you
Well,
gotta
I'm gonna say,
understand
you said
too.
once you take their money, like you don't, now that you will put him in a position like you don't know what he's gonna do, and you have taken all his hard-earned money that he have worked for and everything.
You could have taken his
do you think is
pension.
gonna happen
People
here?
snap and kill for less.
Listen, talk about it. Talk about it. But this generation, it's all about, you know, what you can do for me.
Give me what you gonna give
Give
for
me, give me,
me.
give me. Right. They want it in that
My
microwave
lane.
minute. You know what I mean? I need a man to pay my bills. If you can't pay
I
it,
can't even imagine putting those words out. I wasn't raised like that.
No, the quality.
Can you give me money?
Right. The quality of life is so cheap. You can buy.
It is.
I mean, I don't want to get
It is.
Yeah.
on this meeting, but things that you would pay for back in the days is so cheap. Like people don't value themselves. It's like they like work. They just selling themselves cheap for whatever price is going to be. It's sad.
But you know, even dating has changed too. You know, like men these days now, I'm not generalizing, I'm using a percentage, right? You'll have a person who's like, listen, I took you out to dinner, so
you gonna give me
I'm
that?
getting something in return.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that also, you know, kind of goes along with, okay, well, what can you do for me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I'm doing this for dinner, what am I doing for the rest?
Yeah.
So
because that
to
shouldn't
feed
even be.
me, I have to give you some.
Exactly.
You know what?
To feed me, I have to give you some. No, people they put very little value on their bodies, and for a trinket, for an item, you gotta get my nails done. I need a light bill paid, so I'm gonna. I don't want to say the nasty word, so I'm gonna.
They sell themselves. They're selling themselves.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I think when you're getting married, that you really need, not that you will find out everything, and not that you're gonna ever know anything. Even if you get married to that person, you're not gonna know everything about them anyway.
Right.
They always come up with something new. But I think you should be very cautious when you first meet someone and get married, because you may love that person, yes, and I know when you find someone that you love, that you're supposed to share whatever you have with each other. But
there's no reason why it
of
says
the way
that.
things
There's
is, I wouldn't do it right away. Huh?
Well, I'm curious to know how
There's
long.
no law. You don't have to.
But I'm curious.
No, I didn't say you had to. I said most people feel when they get married, you know, they sharing stuff. So I'm saying, I think at the very beginning, I don't think I would turn everything over into that person. I would have an account with you, but we put some money in an account together to do stuff with me. I'm not gonna turn over my ex.
Right, but even though you said she turned everything, I'm curious to know how long did it take him to marry her?
Well, they was married in a year's time. In a year's time, they was married. So they've been married like 5 years. So, but it was a year's time. But I mean, you can fall in love in that first year. It don't take forever.
No, that's the honeymoon
phase. Marry somebody.
That's the best phase ever.
No, but what I'm saying is you are thinking that person is your soulmate, and they would never do anything like this to you, and then for you to find out you married to someone who plotting the whole time. The idea was to plot, and they wasn't wanting to marry you to start with.
But wait a minute. On top of that, she may be plotting to his demise. You know, she may got insurance policy.
Well, this is what I'm saying. You never know how it's going to turn out. I'm just hoping it don't turn out to be something like that. I'm just saying people are crazy now. So you don't know what people do.
It's sad. Yes. The reality isn't people.
Because the thing about it is, it said, okay, well, go buy your own house. You know, you need his house, but go buy your own house. You got a good job, everything.
Or at least
they don't want to buy their own house. They like his house, and that's the neighborhood they want to stay in.
No, but why would she buy her own house when she can get his house for free?
Listen, and that's the problem.
You don't have to go there. You can go buy your own house.
But at this, there comes a time when he needs to accept responsibility for his stupidness.
Right. That was the other thing. Like, I don't understand how you could be that stupid.
Yeah, so no, he saw signs. He saw signs.
First of all,
it was time for her to give him a tongue kiss. She turned her head, and he knew. You don't want me.
Listen, I mean, granted, whatever assets that you have, right, before you enter into a relationship, you know, whether you have children or whatever like that, you want to make sure that those things stay within your family. Now, if you and this person that you marry have your own family, then you guys work together to getting a house. You can still keep that house. You can rent it out. You can Airbnb.
Right.
There are things that you can do,
Oh,
but you
God.
can work with that person to
Right.
get a house. Like when my
But what I-
mom and my stepdad got together, he had a home before with his previous children, and then when they moved, they built their own home. You know what I mean?
Bounce said,
Nice.
don't expect them to have some joint relationship about what they need to do together when she's already plotting and she's with someone else. So
Well,
how
she's
she
trifling heifer. You know, I'm talking
Yeah,
about
and
real
also,
people.
Trifling.
it's
This is past trifling, but anyway, just
Trifling.
be careful.
But
who
also,
you marry.
people
Check
that
them
don't
out
have
before you
anything
get
are more
married to them or
dangerous.
whatever.
Absolutely.
And
They're more
let's move
dangerous.
on to the
They're
next topic.
trifling.
When do you think New York should say no to people coming in to the state?
Now,
I mean, we got all of these situations when every time something happens, people want, to come to New York and whatever. And we have the situation going on now with the migrants coming in from Texas by the busload. We don't have room in the shelters here. We don't have apartment space. I mean, you have it, but most of us can't afford to live in the apartment buildings they have here.
yeah.
And you
Absolutely.
bringing more and more people every day. So when is it going to stop? I mean, I'm not saying that
It's
we
not.
should take
It's
people,
not.
but I think at a point we have to say no.
Well,
But here's the thing: if we were taking care of our own people and we're able to kind of extend ourselves to that, but you're not really taking care of the people that you have here. So how can you open up anything to anybody? If I
Yeah.
have
This is what
food
I'm
in my
saying.
fridge, I'm not inviting anybody over to eat.
but you know
Nice
how
one.
this happened?
I like that.
Right? I like to know what's defined as a sanctuary state as New York is. Another thing too, they do find provision to open up spaces for other people because you have gentrification. So where they're displacing people from communities, they're
Absolutely.
that are not migrants. So when you look in that scenario and people getting displaced and replaced and going over borders and in FEMA camps and wherever they are making spaces and provision. I don't think they just come to New York just as a whim. You just go, somebody's paying for it.
Somebody's paying for it.
They had to have a discussion prior to what was put on the news media.
There's money put aside. It's just not for us.
Exactly. Look at Ukraine. You have funding out there for Ukraine refugees, for people to house them in their homes, apartments, and give them this money.
Isn't that something?
And then you got people not looking like them in other places that are in refugee situations.
Haitians, they'll turn them down in a minute.
Listen, you won't even hear about
New
them.
York minute.
Exactly.
They'll
won't even hear
why the
about
boat is here, ship it back.
We're gonna take a quick break and come back and continue the conversation. We'll be right back.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we
He
create.
can text you that,
Act
but
now.
you shouldn't.
Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
We're back. If you're just joining us, we're doing our hot topics. Now, before we went to break, we was talking about when New York should say no, because the thing about it is the situation with the people in the shelters here now it's getting worse.
It's dire.
So you don't have any place when you take them. We should be working on getting the people that's in the shelter out. Our people that's already in shelter should be working on getting them out. And I thought that's what we were supposed to be doing, is trying to get them, in apartments.
Better
Either they're going
places.
to take these hotels that were shut down turn them into apartments, a room, or whatever, get people out. You're not doing that. And now every time something happens, we keep getting more and more people. But then you say you don't have enough money and stuff to take care of the people that's here. Because I know people who maybe go down there, they get in a spot to get food stamps or whatever. They can't even get food stamps. But people that come from the outside to come here, they got food stamps, healthcare, and everything.
You know why? Package. You know what I mean? So, you know why so many people homeless in the shelters?
Why?
Because when they have, let's say for instance, if they got a governmental program, Section 8 here and there, and they have an income, what happens that when they have an income that they have a portion that they have to pay towards their rent and they don't pay, they get evicted, it goes to another process. The thing is, those who have an income or get any subsidies for the government, they don't get that money needs to go directly to the landlord. Because what happened, you cannot take somebody out the shelter who has a check who number one, don't know how to budget their money, never paid a bill. Now you tell them to take 30% of their money to give to a landlord, they can't function like that and be returned back into the community. So if you can avoid a lot of people returning back to the shelter, especially after COVID, they need to have some better system of how they are managing their money instead of let their money micromanage them. If their money going directly to the landlords, then I wouldn't say a 0% chance, but they have a low probability of getting evicted without paying their rent, for not paying the rent.
And I mean, also too, you have to understand too that a lot of people in the shelters are also a significant portion of people in the shelters are working families.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
are working families. You're talking about people who have, and we're not just talking about, oh, you know, you have somebody that works at Starbucks or whatever. You're talking about people who have jobs that make above minimum wage and cannot afford to adequately house their family because the rent system in New York City is crazy.
That is, you know, the other day I was sitting out and there was by Park Slope by the YMCA, and I was talking to some gentleman there. The man works for years, but he lives in the YMCA because exactly what you just said.
He can't afford.
Yeah, but they pay more money for them to be in a hotel than to give them an apartment.
Exactly.
We have this city. They outsource it and selling apartments and parking lots in governmental space for private developers.
Yes.
How are you supposed to fix this problem?
And here's the thing, even when you have those programs where they have, you know, you could do the lottery. If you look at the criteria for that lottery, you have to be making anywhere between $80,000 to $100,000. Who's making that? If I'm not sitting in here with 17 roommates.
Yeah, because they're building like crazy, but to get into these apartments.
Right.
But you have places like when they refine East New York, just for a quick thing. They have rezoned part of Ozone Park into East New York to bring up the AMI. So you have a whole coalition as out in East New York where they have for like Pennsylvania picking all the way down to the Conduit and all the way down the Broadway Junction where they're building high rises. Because see what people want, they have access. You have the Long Island Railroad, you have the two airports, you got the highway, and you have a central hub.
What is AMI?
The annual mean income.
Median income.
When you have like and like particularly East New York, if they're looking to displace 25,000 people to bring in 50,000. So people would say, well, if you want 50,000, just bring in 25,000 more. No. That they bring in, it's not looking like you. So when they hear and they come to these agreements and stuff, and they're on a chopping block of gentrification, this is one of 15 communities. The chop block. When people think in their community that they got tree lines, they got bike racks, they paving the streets, they like, oh wow, they gentrifying the community. We're gonna have to.
No, they're not doing it for you.
Yeah. Look at Red Hook.
They're not doing it for you.
The whole back of Red Hook, where by the waterfront, that's all you see.
Oh,
on my block, there's two people of color because we own the homes.
Right.
I'm surrounded in a sea of people that don't look like me.
Right.
With attitudes. And what are you doing here?
Exactly.
Right. Because people like me who would be looking to buy a home can't afford the homes out here.
It's ridiculous.
But that's what I'm saying now. New York is already overcrowded as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But when you have a state that's just too overcrowded, people has to get jobs and stuff. how is this supposed to be manageable when you are saying that you don't have the money? I mean, Mayor Addison said, "Oh, he's begging Biden for money." Well, if Biden doesn't give you any money, then what? Because I don't understand how you can keep taking people in. I mean, other countries say no to people. How come people are never sent to the other
why
countries?
are we always
They're never sent to the other countries?
There have to be something in some provision somewhere as a sanctuary city to some degree that they're having these talks already. These are already around where the discussions have already been.
I agree with that. But right now, all the majority, what we see is migrant. What did you call it? Migrants just coming in. And a guarantee, and they hugging each other that they're here, and you know they're gonna get the stamps. They're gonna get all the provisions you get. I remember when I wasn't working, I couldn't even get anything.
Exactly. They're not gonna give you anything. They're not gonna give you anything.
Listen, and
you make $1 too much.
Right. Listen, you work. That's it. It's too much. Because at the end of the day, even look through the pandemic, as a single parent, I have my son's not in school at the time. So I have to pay someone to sit with him. I had to pay someone now for a whole entire day where, you know, he would be in school or he would be in after school. So that's a crazy expense. You know what I mean? And how you know, I can't go to say, hey, listen, I need money for babysitting. How can I work with these expenses? Food is going up, transportation is going up, the cost of living is going up, and my salary is the same.
Exactly.
So now when I'm looking to go move, I'm like, okay, you know, well, I would like to move us out of our apartment. I need a bigger place. And I'm like, okay, let's look and see. I can afford that. I can afford that. I can afford that. And then the people in the neighborhood that you probably lived in for 20, 30 years are looking at you like you don't belong here. I'm like, but you just moved in this morning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I get that. I get that. My neighbor, my father bought the home we in now back in the 60s. And the whole Red Hook is gentrified in the back. Now y'all want to enjoy the waterfront.
Right.
And I get the looks. When I come out of my house, throwing the garbage out, I see them like, what's she doing here?
Exactly. You still here?
Been here before you.
Listen, not just that. They figured, wait, we ain't got eminent domain.
Okay.
And I let them know. I have symbols to let you know a black woman lives here.
Okay. And so
red,
you know,
golden, green painted. I have
all of it.
Flag. I have stuff.
RBG for life. Let's get it. But you got to also understand too, you know, we lose the characteristic of a neighborhood when it becomes gentrified. Like, so my son and I are coming home from karate, and you know, there's a seafood place that we would usually kind of, you know, grab something quick and go home. And I look at it and I'm like, they're closed. They lost their lease.
Wow.
And they're no longer there. They had been there so long. They had struggled through the pandemic, made it through the pandemic. And they had to close down because they lost their lease. Why did they lose their lease? Because they probably couldn't afford it. Because again, the neighborhood is getting, you know.
Yes. You know,
we want to make room for a French bakery. I don't know like that, baby.
But to add to that too, a lot of people are
or Starbucks.
Once people come to their front door with an attaché case full of money, they sell a lot of
Yes.
They
bring that money for you.
Yes.
Where are we going? I'm fine.
Yes.
I'm not. This is
it's
a family home. But
Vanessa is right. They come because I know when the guy came to my house and rung the doorbell, he asked me that I want to sell my house. I asked him how much he wanted to give me for it, right? So when he gave me the price, I said, you actually think my house is not any more worth than that? He was like, oh, well, you probably gonna end up moving down south anyway. I said,
wow.
I said, but why would you make that racist statement like that? I said, because do you think all black people move down south? I said, I want to go to California to live. I said, so that means I need money to live in California.
Orange
so the money you offering me wouldn't even hardly probably get me on the plane to get there or whatever.
But
so you really need to go
back. $dollars real quick. We out.
That's it. And exactly. I said no. I said when you get enough money, then come back and talk to me because I'm not moving down south. Okay,
see what you do?
I'm going to Hollywood.
You stay where you at.
But you know, to add to that,
rent out and still have a
Airbnb something.
But you know, to add that, we may say Airbnb and hold on to it, But if you don't teach your kids the value of generational wealth and leaving a legacy,
exactly.
As you close your eyes, that's
it. It's gone.
To a system.
I
Anybody
let them know.
knock on their front door and give them some money.
That general,
you know what? That's how all the houses over here got sold in Bed-Stuy, because the children, the older people left the house with the children, and the children sold their
and it's just right. Or they didn't want to live in the neighborhood, and they weren't thinking about it.
Travel. I travel. You know, whenever I get a chance, I have a tenant on the first floor, and I live comfortably on 2 floors. No, I'm never letting my family house go, and I let my kids know. But we got to talk to them and let them know.
Yeah,
it's never to be sold.
No, but Jacqueline, not just talk to them. You need to put that in writing. You need to have a trust. You need to have the trust. Talking to them means nothing, because they can be influenced. Once you leave here, somebody come into their life, somebody get them.
Right.
You need to get married to some husband, and he's telling them what to do.
You're talking to them.
My name on the deed. You better not. Put that heifer name on my stuff.
People,
right?
No, but see, people looking like us, black and brown people. You know, you're too busy and complacent, living in generational debt. You don't know what it is. That it's a repeated cycle. You know, you go to work, you pay your rent, you put food on the table, buy a couple of clothes, you go out for the club here and there.
Yeah,
you just living in generational debt. You have nothing to show for your legacy.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And you have to have something.
We need a
to
series
show, because
on that.
you work all of those years and retire. And,
right.
You know, and then you have nothing to show after you retired and everything. I mean,
now,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something. Unless you're selling the house to upgrade to a new one, then I'll be okay with that. At least we're getting a new, bigger house. But you're selling it to go rent?
No, but then sell it to somebody looking like you.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, but we can't compete with somebody with a briefcase of money.
We understand it. You got to prioritize.
But what you have, then what you have to do is be careful.
Yeah.
Like she said, put something in trust. Teach your kids what to do and everything, and hope that they'll, think about all the work that you put in it. And
actually, if you put it in writing, even if they think about doing something, they can't.
They can't. They won't be able to do it if it's in writing.
But here's the thing: you also have to make sure that you have provisions so they don't lose it either.
Exactly.
Like the house being paid off, and you can't mortgage it out.
Tonight. That's the hot stuff for tonight. So we want to thank you for joining us. And as we said, we didn't get to have other topics, but it's okay. We
have some hot ones.
Yeah. But just be careful who you marry. That's the main one. Be careful who you marry.
There's charlatans out there.
So we want to thank you for joining us tonight. And as always, we'll see you next time.
There's charlatans out there.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.
Do you like beautiful pictures for your home or your office? Then stop by Faith Watch Gallery. They have a large selection of pictures from around the world.
It's shining.